Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monad, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monad. So good to share some energy with you today. Coming to you in the late night or early morning, depending on how you view it, depending on what place in the world you are in. And I wanted to talk to you about this. I have a couple of videos coming up because this has been going on in the zeitgeist regarding Danny Lee and the baby. And for those of you that don't know who they are, it's a rapper and his person, but not his person. It's a big messy triangle. It's a really good deep dive into narcissism, gaslighting, triangulation, or just affairs, whatever way you want to broach it. But there's been a lot of discourse because a lot of us can relate to what happens in these dynamics because we have been on one side of it. We've either been the wife or we've been the person that was the other person in love with someone that was married or we've dealt with a narcissist and we've been triangulated. A lot of us here, especially my empaths, intuitives, divine feminines, have been in situations where we allowed other people to define something for us because we hadn't defined our self-worth. And that's really the conversation that's been brought up here. And I heard Amanda Seales say this, and Amanda Seales can be highly problematic, but one thing she is intelligent. And she makes a very salient point. She was talking about this discourse, and she was kind of clarifying for those of us that have been in any stream of that situation, which is not understanding where we stand in a relationship. Every woman and man has been in that place, right? Not understanding where we stand and maybe liking someone so much that we've given away our power to let them decide who we are and where we stand. And so the title of this is Not Having a Label Chains You to Anxiety. And that was a quote that she said, and that's why I put it in quotation marks because I always like to give proper credit to where the originator of the thought or the work comes from. Now, how this applies to us is here. When you're in a dating situation and you're in that weird place, and this is where the phrase "cool girl" was coined. Think of that movie. It's not Runaway. What is the movie? It's not Catch Me If You Can. Oh my gosh, it has Ben Affleck and this blonde girl who is brilliant in it. Anyway, I can't think of it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The point is, being the cool girl is this trope that we pretend if we are in a relationship that we don't care about the status and we can't be bothered and we're like too cool to really understand what's going on. But what happens is you get a commitment. It's just not to that person, it's to your anxiety. Can you guys relate? Being committed to wondering what the hell is going on, where is this going, is it going, should it stop or go, yes or no, all of the things. Now, the other thing that I thought was really a good point that's been brought up here is, and I think it was Erica De Niro who I heard say this, if you are in a relationship with somebody for a few seconds or 20 years, you're in a relationship. And that was one of the things that really resonated to me because when I counsel people through their own things regarding relationship dynamics or f-boyery or f-girlery, meaning people that are dishonest and not providing clarity regarding the status of your relationship, the thing to understand about that is that people do that to leverage power, and it's all about a power dynamic. And if you give someone the power, then that's how they're going to plan it. They're going to be in the driver's seat with it. Don't let someone gaslight you into thinking you don't have a relationship because they're not giving you some official whatever. And that doesn't mean be a psychopath and a lifetime movie trope and decide that you're in a relationship and be all fatal attractiony. But you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I think of the show Girls. I think of Lena Dunham's like relationship, quote unquote, with Adam Driver. And I just feel like we can see how we will, as women, allow something to evolve because we're like, well, they're getting attached, or we like this, or it feels good enough, I guess. And no one's giving clarity. And then you are second guessing yourself and you live in your head. When I'm reading tarot, it's the Eight of Swords, right? That is a place of anxiety and almost to the point of mental illness because you're overthinking a thing and you're reading into every single thing and you have no idea what it means, and does this mean something? Now, that's something we all do with our crushes. It's something we all do. We all like to have a little crush or a little boo. And, we will think about the little moments and the lingering touches or the stolen kisses or whatever the case may be. But if someone is purposely refusing you clarity, they want you to be committed, but it's to your anxiety. And that's where you will forever stay. So I rip band aids off when I need clarification to come my way, and I just have a direct communication, confrontation, dissertation, orientation, whatever needs to happen with whomever the person is that I'm seeking clarity about. This is not just in relationship, it's also in business. That's why it says that you should never do business with friends, because it's very difficult at times to sort out where the checkbook and the sidewalk ends. Okay, I'm thinking of Shel Silverstein, and I'm thinking of the Giving Tree. Sometimes we can be out of balance with people that are supposed to be close to us. And when we get into business situations, if it's not clearly defined, then there will be a depletion of trust. Regarding the relationships that you meander into, and you think, well, I just don't know, and I don't want to be pushy, and it's only been this long, so what's the right threshold? There are a litany of articles on the internet about the right timing to question your hookup, what it means. But here's what I want you to understand: things are not always what they seem. Netflix and chill is a relationship. Get it, guys? It's that simple. Just because someone says you're not my official girl, but they're coming and blowing your back out and spending time and hanging out and cuddling and whatever else, this is something to think about. On the guy's side of this conversation regarding Danny Lee and the baby, one of the things that came up was that guys were like, she was showing pictures because she was being gaslit to prove that they were in a relationship. She's a side chick, quote unquote, and he said it as well, certified side chick. And it's really interesting. So many thoughts I have on this, but she was a side chick, and she thought that she was better than the baby's mother, and she even made a song, a very tragic song that has come back to haunt her. Karma is so real. Yellow Bones, what they like, because she was in of a lighter complexion and a different race, I do believe, than his baby's mother, who is a dark-skinned black woman. Now, here's the thing. The men were watching Danny Lee trying to prove herself that she was his girlfriend in real life, and they lived together and traveled and did all the things, which they did. And there was photographic evidence and videos and things that we all saw. But the men on the internet that were watching it were saying, this is what I would do this with anybody I slept with. I would do this with any random person. I do this with my Netflix and chill bay. I do this with my girlfriend. I would do this with my wife. Meaning there is no line of delineation and distinction in their behavior, having someone lay on their chest, kissing them, fully kissing them in the mouth. I think a pretty woman, no French kissing, but like really kissing them in the mouth, really being intimate, really hanging out with them. And women, we get confused because we are attaching a lot of things. Remember, we're paying attention to every lingering touch, like, oh, he said he liked me, or oh, we Netflix and chill for the whole weekend, and like told like every time I would get out of bed, he'd pull me back in. That means something, doesn't it? Yes, it does mean you're in a relationship, but it means that he wants to leverage it. So the way that men looked at it was like, oh, what he's doing with this girl is very normal, and it's what we would do if we wanted to get laid, period, full stop. But that means that they're in a relationship with you. I mean, girl, let's get biblical. They're in relationship with you. The actual physical consummation of that is exactly what it is. And even if it's an emotional relationship or an emotional affair, you know when you're in a relationship with someone. Let's flip it to the narcissistic energy. If you've ever dealt with a narcissist, you've been triangulated and had all of that drama happen, then the narcissist will try to convince you that the relationship that you were in was not as special, prioritized, didn't happen, didn't happen the way you thought. I wouldn't, I've taught about this and I've had it happen in many different dynamics that I've had narcissistic opportunities to get healthy, meaning like via a narcissist, I've got to take a look at some of my patterns and stuff like that and the places where I was shook. But the last time that it happened, it was so powerful because I was like, this is textbook. It's textbook by some of the best doctors and authors in the country to have someone gaslight me right to my face about memories and situations that we both knew had happened. But that's what a narcissist will do, and that's what we were watching Danny Lay have happen to her. She was being actively gaslit, and you have to be so careful because narcissists really love to push it, and they will push you to violence and then flip it on you. You see who has the charges, but who was the tyrant? Who was the terrorist? It was the baby. My point is that's your narcissist is the baby. Actually, quite literally, narcissists have regressed emotional health. They are children in adult bodies. So I quite ironically, it's like this very meta thing is being played out, and it's like this is a conversation we're always having about narcissist and empath dynamics. You're watching one. I'm not saying Danny Lay is an empath because she was really ignorant, entitled, and full of herself. She really, really thought that there was something very special about her regime that was going to make the baby turn into a man and evolve and be level headed. No. And at the end of the day, he prioritized his quote unquote family, where he's still treating his wife, quote unquote, whatever she is, like crap and cheating on her actively. But they have whatever friendship baseline and agreement that they're always going to return back together until she decides to break that. The power is in her hands. Another video for another day. Just wanted to talk to you about that. Don't, I mean, it went on and it meandered a bit, but do not allow someone to not give you clarity. Give yourself clarity. If you ask someone a direct question and their answer is no or yes or whatever it is, that's what it is. It doesn't matter if then later they want to like regress and take it back and maybe they realize they might let a good thing get away, or maybe they want a Netflix and chill with you and they realize that they want you to sneak and stay. Whatever the case is, once you know what you know and once you hear what you hear, there's nothing else to debate. You got your earful. You got the information that you needed. And a lot of us will try to override that and make it into something else and make it like, no, that's not what they meant. No, that's what they meant. And that's just where, for whatever reason, how my chart's set up and how my life is set up, I don't really backtrack on that. I'm not going to try to prove to somebody that we're in whatever I know we're in, because that's ultimate gaslighting. Just say, okay, oh, okay, it's like this. And then you either cut your ties and walk away, or if they give you clarity that they are in it with you, then you begin to live on another day. But what you don't do is try to figure that out and then be committed to your anxiety, because I have counseled women and men that are in relationships with their anxiety for years, not the person that they think losing is your deepest fear. They're in anxiety relationships with themselves and the matter between their ears. That's not a relationship. And here's the thing, spoiler alert, once you get clarity, either way, it works. You get to move on. So you can start to move on into a relationship where it's reciprocal and the other person is acknowledging it, meaning they have an onus and a responsibility. Uh, or you get to move on and walk away. Let me clarify this for you. The reason someone's not giving you clarity is because they don't want responsibility. A lot of women that I work with don't get that. I have been one of those women working with myself that did not get that. Someone does not want the responsibility of the day to day of the relationship. Anybody that's ever been married or ever been in a long term relationship knows any kind of spousal partnership arrangement, you know that it's not always glamorous. There will be moments of things that just take you off course and you don't feel like anything works and it's really tough. Or sickness happens, or financial calamity, or a house fire. Weird stuff, right? You want someone that's actually committed to the day to day. So when you have a relationship with someone who's not giving you clarity, you have a terrible day at the office or something happens in your family and you need a support system. That person that's Netflixing and chilling and not saying what you guys are purposely is not saying that because they don't want to take it that far, meaning they don't want to be your support system on that bad day. They don't want to hear about whom in your family just passed away or what's going on. People that are committed make that commitment and then they follow through. They show you with their behavior. If someone's not giving you clarity in a relationship status, it's because that's something that has to be factored in. They do not want to be held actually responsible for the day to day task of loving you. And then, my sweet empath and divine feminines, I have to ask you, is that someone you want to be committed to? Someone who is wholly unwilling to commit to you? It all starts with that lack of clarity. I'll be making another video here shortly called When They Get On, They Leave Your Ass for a White Girl. It's a hilarious little lesson that I got in my life, but also one that many of us can relate to. And before you're like, well, I'm white, so what does that mean? This also applies to you. The white girl is proverbial. It means that when someone gets on to a certain position in life after maybe you've helped them and assisted them grow and mature, ladies, empaths, wink, wink, then what it means is that they move into a different direction and they think they're upgrading and maybe pick something that is quite beneath you, but it's because they feel like that's what they deserved and they were entitled to. We all have dealt with our quote unquote white girls or had a situation like that. So stay tuned. Maybe that's a video that will be of interest to you. It also will be exploring Danny Lay and the baby as well, because I think it's just such a, well, it's like a Jackson Pollock canvas. I don't know if I'd call it beautiful, but it's filled with a lot of splatters of bullshit. And I think that there's a lot of things that we can pick through there. Anyway, so good to share energy with you. And I will be back here shortly. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.